I've seen it dozens of times. Nonprofits hosting elaborate fundraising events, hoping to raise enough to fund their efforts, then seeing their donations fall flat at the end of the event. It's easy to feel a sense of rejection, like maybe people don't really care about your cause. But in my experience, that's rarely the reason. After all, if they attended your event, they at least care a little bit. Fundraising event success typically comes down to something else: design. Specifically, event design that makes giving feel natural, meaningful, and easy. Now, I've planned and hosted dozens of fundraising events over the years, and I've also attended a lot of other events as a supporter. And over time, you start to notice certain patterns in the events that really succeed. So in this video, I'm going to walk through several proven strategies that can significantly increase donations at nonprofit fundraising events. And then at the end, I'll share the one major factor that tends to influence event fundraising success more than anything else. I'll break these strategies and ideas I'll share into 4 major categories, each just as important as the next. Those categories are messaging, momentum, giving systems, and community building. Now let's start with that first category, messaging. This group of strategies is all about helping people understand why giving is so important at your event in the first place. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that I see nonprofits make with fundraising events is in how they talk about the purpose of their events in the first place. It's the messaging that they use before the event even starts and during the event that counts. Now, this mistake usually sounds something like this: we're trying to raise $50,000 to keep our organization running. Now, the intention behind that message makes sense. Organizations do need resources to operate and keep running, but donors rarely feel inspired by the idea of helping an organization just run. People care about people. They care about outcomes. They care about seeing how their gift will actually change someone's life. So that means instead of framing your fundraising message around sustaining the organization, even if that's genuinely what you need to do, you want to frame it around the resulting impact that donors can create if they give. For example, instead of saying, help us raise $50,000 to keep our tutoring program going, you might say something like, help us raise $50,000 so that 100 students on our waitlist can get the tutoring support they need to graduate from school this year. See the difference? The second version is clear and specific and impact focused. It gives donors something that they can picture. They can mentally connect their gift to a real life result. Research backs this up. According to studies summarized by the Journal of Organizational Behavior and Human Decision Processes, people are significantly more likely to give when they can visualize a specific beneficiary or outcome rather than an abstract organizational need. In other words, the clearer the impact story is, the easier it becomes for someone to say yes. Now, the second messaging strategy builds directly on that. In addition to having a clear, impact-focused message, you need to reinforce your message visually and emotionally during the event. So you can absolutely share data about your cause. Numbers do help people understand the scale and scope of a problem. But when it comes to motivating actual giving, stories are going to carry a lot more weight than statistics alone. Research shows that fundraising campaigns centered around storytelling can generate significantly higher donation rates than those relying primarily on data. And if you think about it, that makes sense. Statistics inform people, stories move people. So at your event, you want to look for ways to bring those stories into the room in big and small ways. Maybe that means a short video showing the impact of your program. Maybe it's photos on tables of the people that you're serving. Maybe it's a slideshow running in the background. Or maybe it's a small display showing a simple story of someone whose life changed because of your work. Those visual reminders help donors stay emotionally connected to the reason that they're there. And the third messaging strategy I'm going to share connects to this as well. Whoever speaks at your event, whether that's you, a staff member, a volunteer, or someone connected to your mission, authenticity matters a lot more than polish. You do not have to sound like a professional speaker to be effective. In fact, sometimes the most powerful moments come from when someone simply shares honestly about why the work matters to them. Depending on the tone of your event, that might mean sharing a lesson learned. It might mean acknowledging a challenge that your organization faced this year. It might mean being a little vulnerable about the reason you care so deeply about the cause. It might mean even being a little silly and connecting with attendees through humor. The key is that it needs to feel real. People can always sense when a story is forced or overly rehearsed. And when it feels authentic, it builds that human connection and trust. And as I've talked about in past videos, when it comes to fundraising in general, trust is ultimately what leads people to give. Let's talk about the second category of strategies, momentum. This one is about helping people feel the urgency and excitement to give when it's time. Raising money at fundraising events works best when people feel like they're joining something that's already moving forward. The reason for that? People want to know their donations will lead to results, and people will hesitate to give if it feels like progress is stalled or it's a non-starter. So let's talk about a few ways to create this feeling of momentum. The first way to create that momentum is through matching donations. That's when a donor or sponsor pledges a certain dollar amount that they'll pay out if other donors agree to donate also. Your best bet, if you can, is to try to secure a matching donor or sponsor before the event starts. Because when donors know their gift will be doubled or even tripled, they're often more motivated to give. In one survey of donors, 84% said that they were more likely to give if there was a matching gift present. Now let's talk about the psychology of why this works. People like knowing that their gift will have amplified impact, and they also like helping something cross that finish line. Think about it. You're more likely to go get your coffee from a certain cafe if your customer loyalty card says you have just one more coffee to buy before you get a free one. And the second momentum strategy builds on that idea. You need to visibly show progress towards your fundraising goal during the event, but timing matters here. If you show a progress thermometer throughout your event that's still sitting at 0, it can actually discourage people because it creates the impression that no one else is giving. Many people need social proof, evidence that other people care about something before they will invest in it also. Instead, many successful events feed the tip jar, so to speak. That might mean securing sponsors, early donations, or commitments before the event to give your progress towards your goal a jumpstart. Then, when you reveal your progress at the event, ideally when you're already over halfway toward your goal, donors see that momentum. And we already established people love helping something that already feels successful reach that finish line. But crossing that finish line often isn't possible without another set of strategies. So let's talk about our third category, giving systems. Giving systems are all about making sure that giving is actually easy at the event. And this is one area where small details can have a surprisingly big impact. Well, first, you need to provide multiple ways for people to give. Not every donor responds to the same opportunity. Some people have auctions. Others prefer making a direct donation. Others might enjoy small interactive activities like games or raffles or purchasing event merchandise. I attended one fundraising event that did this really well. There were several ways to give throughout the evening. You could bid on an auction item, you could donate through text, there were QR codes at different tables, you could contribute to a specific program fund, you could purchase merchandise supporting the cause, etc. And even though opportunities to donate were all around the event, it didn't feel overly pushy. Personally, I felt like it just made giving easy to find. The key here is creating a variety of pathways. People are more likely to give when they can choose the method that feels right to them. Now, the next giving system strategy is simple but very, very important. You must make it easy to donate. And specifically, I'm talking about your technology. Clunky technology or confusing processes create friction and frustration and definitely causes some people to just skip making a donation altogether. For example, in silent auctions, the introduction of mobile bidding platforms has been shown to significantly increase participation and total bids because people can engage directly from their phones. In one case study, mobile bidding increased auction bidding by as much as 30%. Sometimes investing in smoother technology actually pays for itself in higher donations. Because when people feel like giving is easy, people are going to give more. Now let's talk about an often overlooked opportunity at events, and that is inviting attendees to become monthly donors starting at that event. The thing is, a lot of organizations focus only on one-time gifts during events, but we know that recurring giving leads to more funds and value over time. According to research from the ASU Lodestar Center for Philanthropy and Nonprofit Innovation, it costs an organization roughly $1.50 to acquire a new donor, but only about 20 cents to retain one. Not only that, but donor retention increases dramatically when donors give multiple times. One-time donors are retained at about just 14 to 18%. That means 18 out of 100 donors will return. But donors who give repeatedly can reach retention rates as high as 86%. So at your event, consider inviting people to join your monthly giving community. Even if the first monthly gift is small, maybe $15 or $20, the long-term impact can be much larger because recurring givers tend to stick around for years. Plus, it creates a deeper relationship between the donor and your organization. Now, in just a moment, I'll share our final category of fundraising event strategies and share the one thing that makes the biggest difference in your event success. But first, let's thank the sponsor of this video. Planning and hosting a fundraising event can be super overwhelming. There's so much to organize and so many moving parts, but that's why I appreciate the tools that our sponsor, Click and Pledge, offers to help organizations manage events of all sizes, from your small home-based gathering to your full-scale gala. And they also make it easy and quick and secure for your attendees. Click and Pledge is with you every step of the way, from registering your first participants to tallying donations at the end of a successful night. And with Click and Pledge's event management tools, you can conduct online registration and ticket distribution and participant check-in, all with ease. You can send automated receipts or reminder messages to participants, manage ticket sales through the Click and Pay suite, secure and instantly accept donations with their Bluetooth-operated Swiper One device at your event, which automatically adds donor details into your dashboard, saving you hours of data entry later. And you can track event data through the Salesforce integration. Plus, Click and Pledge's fundraising platform includes other tools for customizing donation forms, peer-to-peer campaigns, text to give, video fundraising, and more, all in one place with no extra cost and no contracts. Now, unlike some platforms that increase your fees as your events grow, Click and Pledge pricing stays the same whether you have 10 attendees or 1,000. So you can use the QR code or link in the description below to check out Click and Pledge, book a demo, and get your first $25 monthly fee waived. Now, our final strategy ideas are all about something super important that I don't think gets said often enough. Fundraising events are not just about raising money. They're about creating a shared experience around your mission. So what I've observed is that people tend to give more when two things are happening. One, they feel good emotionally, and two, they see other people participating. Now, I mentioned this idea before, this concept social scientists often refer to as social proof. But people are more likely to donate when they observe others doing the same and when they feel like part of something bigger than themselves. So think about how your event creates connection between attendees. This could look like time built in for networking and mingling, a shared activity, small group table conversations about the mission. Maybe it's interactive elements where people contribute ideas or share why they care about the cause. When the room feels like a community, not just an audience, generosity tends to increase. Now, let's talk about how the most influential factor in fundraising event success usually has nothing to do with decorations, auctions, or even technology. It has to do with the relationships you cultivate throughout the year. Here's the thing, fundraising events are far less likely to hit a fundraising goal if the event is the first real interaction someone has had with your organization. People don't usually show up, learn about a cause for the first time, and immediately give large donations. More often, events work best when people attending already know your work. They already trust your organization. They've seen your impact. They feel connected to your mission. The event simply becomes the call to action moment where they act on that relationship. And that's why organizations that invest in year-round community engagement, that's newsletters, volunteer opportunities, social media, personal outreach, they will see stronger results when event season comes around. The event itself matters, but the relationships behind it matter even more. So if you're planning a fundraising event, here are the core ideas that I would keep in mind. Focus on clear messaging about the impact donors can create. Include stories and visuals that help people feel connected emotionally to the mission. Use momentum that makes donors feel like they're helping something succeed. Use simple systems that make giving easy, and create a community atmosphere where generosity feels contagious. And most importantly, build strong relationships with potential supporters long before the event begins. If you're thinking about your own fundraising event right now, ask yourself, what experience do we want donors to have when they walk into the room? Not just what activities will happen, but how you want people to feel. Because when people feel connected and hopeful and part of something meaningful, generosity usually follows. If you want support applying ideas like this to your nonprofit, I share additional strategies and resources every week in my free newsletter for nonprofit leaders and changemakers. I'll share the link below, and it's also on my website, changemakercafe.com. In the next video, we're going to talk about how you can avoid some of my biggest regrets and mistakes in running a nonprofit. So that will be fun. You don't want to miss that. Be sure to subscribe. I'm Amber Melanie Smith, and I'll see you next week. Bye.